I know your other favorite method of discovery is playlist promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So just there's so much in that world. Like there's some sketchiness, but then I think we also have both seen campaigns that have gone really well. What is the difference between like Spotify promotion, playlist promotion that does work and that doesn't work?
Absolutely. So first, like categorically, playlist promotion is very different than advertising. It's almost so different that you can think of like water flowing in the opposite direction in a pipe, right? So when you're advertising on Facebook, you're trying to get someone off of social media and to your destination. And sometimes that's your website, sometimes that's Spotify. It can be anything. It could be a show that you're promoting, right? So that's the way that the traffic is flowing. With Spotify, it's the opposite, right? You're starting on Spotify. The traffic is getting generated on Spotify. And a lot of people are thinking, well, I need to grow my Spotify so that I can then, get people to my website. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that because Spotify doesn't have the ability to link your website. You can link your Instagram, so that's cool. But I just want to let everyone who's listening know that Spotify playlist promotion actually begins the traffic in a completely different place in your music ecosystem. So there's pros and cons to that, obviously. What I really like about that is it's way cheaper and easier to grow Spotify specifically as a platform because you're generating the traffic in the place that you're trying to grow your audience, right? There's a matchup there. You're not trying to convert the fan from Facebook to Spotify. You don't have to get them to click on an ad or click on a landing page or one of those stream link pages that you get from DistroKid. There's none of those hoops that you have to get the fan to jump through. So that's one reason I really like it. It's a completely different animal, but it has its own benefits. Now, you mentioned that playlist quality is a huge issue. And if I can share my screen, I can actually pull up some examples.
Go for it, Ryan.
Metric. Let me pull this up really quick.
Nice.
Let's try to get that aspect ratio good. So Chartmetric is a tool that I love to use because you can look up any playlist and you can see the follower growth history. And that reveals a lot about how the playlist was grown and how many listeners are going to be real and organic versus it being fake and contrived and being basically a scam. Because really what the whole issue is with fake playlists is that you're promised fans and you're promised real listens, but it's a bait and switch. It's actually a lie, right? So you think you're getting real listeners, but in fact, you're getting just the numbers run up by a computer, right? By bots. Everyone's probably heard about bots. And so first, let me pull up an example of a real playlist. So this is a Spotify playlist owned by Spotify. You can see right here, it says curated by Spotify. It's called Feel Good Indie Rock. And it's this graph right here that I want to draw everyone's attention to. It's the follower growth line. And if I just expand this out to a whole year, you can see that the growth is smooth and consistent and mostly in one direction. Now, it's okay for a playlist to decrease in followers occasionally. That does happen organically for some reasons. But overall, what we want to see is a smooth growth line that's going up and to the right. Now, the reason that this is the signature of a good, healthy playlist is because when you have a smooth growth line, that means you're getting consistent visibility day over day. And the opposite of consistent and the opposite of organic would be a jagged growth line that goes up and goes down. And here's an example of well, it's declining now, but let's look at the full picture. So check this out. This playlist was grown using some method, but then all of a sudden the follower count dropped by 20,000, I think, if I'm doing quick math, right? And that doesn't just happen unless if there are fake accounts used to build the playlist, okay? And so what's kind of funny is, like, let's just look at the story. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. That's not the greatest zoom, but there we go. A little bigger for you. So what you're trying to unpack the story of what the playlister did on this
Right.
playlist, right? So somehow this was grown. Then Spotify decided to clean out the bot accounts. So that's good, right? But that's good for us as the artist, bad for the playlister. So what they did is they tried to recover. They're like, oh no, I dropped 20,000 followers on my playlist. Let's instantly recover by, generating some more bot activity. And that looks like that's what they did to try and recover their follower count. And then once again, Spotify cleans out the bot activity once again. And then they try to recover again. So this happens, one, two, I guess 2, 3-ish times. And then looks like they just gave up and Spotify kept on cleaning out the bots, right? So it's these big spikes and these big drops that are just a certain sign of
Right.
follower manipulation.
Some might say that the name of the playlist is fitting.
Oh, dude, super sad vibes on this playlist, bro. Yeah, let's look at another example of a good one. So this is a playlist that we work with a lot. Now, the playlists that we like to find all rank in the Spotify search results. And that's a really great way to generate traffic because that's the same way that Spotify generates the traffic on their own playlists, right? They feed the playlists in the search results. And sometimes third-party curators, just like this guy, also rank in the search results alongside those Spotify-owned playlists. And so you can have third-party curators that are getting the same traffic and getting the same organic growth as the Spotify editorials. And so we can confirm that just by looking at his 1-year graph, and it's nearly identical to the Spotify one that I showed earlier. You can see it's ranking in the search results consistently day after day. There's growth day after day, and there's no drop in followers because there are no bot accounts that needed to get cleaned out. So this is the type of stuff that I would say you would want to get on as an artist. These are the beneficial playlists where if your music is on this playlist, it's actually getting heard by real humans. And any of the growth that you receive and the followers that you receive are going to be real people. And it's not just contrived fake, numbers that are not going to really provide any value in the long term. Let me show you a really interesting one. So earlier I said that sometimes it's okay for a playlist to decrease in followers. And this summer barbecue playlist is really interesting because just check this out. It was like pretty much dormant. And like at the time of filming this, we're in the month of May. So like we're about to hit
It's
summer.
starting.
Yeah, it's starting. So this summer barbecue
some
playlist,
Australian. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is owned by Spotify, right? But in the last few months, it was declining consistently in followers, right? Like -11, -37, -15. Looks like it started to turn around here, right? So this is an example of a completely legit playlist that is dropping in followers. And it's also an editorial, right? It's owned by Spotify. But then because of the season, right? Playlists can fall in and out of seasons. It was declining in this period of time, but then it turned around, in the month of May, because we're just about to head into, beach weather. So I thought that was really interesting. And it's something that a lot of YouTubers don't really highlight, just how important it is to understand that even playlists are a slave to the traffic source, right? How is the traffic being generated? Where are the playlists ranking in the search results? And that can change from season to season, even on legit playlists.